Yeah. Welcome. Welcome one. Welcome all. Welcome to the rise. Welcome to the fall. Every time we ball, every time they call, yo, we never gonna fall. And even if we slip, we gonna stand up tall. What it is, people. We'll start with this one. Well, let's see. How's everybody been doing? Hopefully good. Obviously, we all struggle. We all got a struggle going on. But that struggle means you're alive. And being alive, it's not as bad as people make it out to be sometimes. And it's easy to say, but it's true. Man, what it do? We are into February. My birthday was yesterday, if you're watching this on Friday. And I bet I had fun. What else? Watched a bunch of movies. Wait, what did I watch? Not really. Oh, I got a tablet. And I've been drawing. Maybe I'll be able to post up some drawings on here. That'd be pretty tight. What else? It's Aquarius season. That's all I can say. Number 1081 from 3,000 questions. What keeps you going? Now that is a good question. It's many things. It's not just one or two. But when certain things are like, I'm not feeling my art right now, or I'm not feeling the music, or I'm not feeling the podcast, or I'm not feeling my job, then it goes, you still have the limited, there's my son, God, family, friends. And sometimes it's hard to remember that we're on borrowed time. This is a borrowed body. This is not ours forever. So it's kind of a gift. So to not treat it as such, I mean, it happens. Definitely happens to the best of us. And to the worst of us. But maybe that's the purpose. That's why we heal. You know? To know, it's just to know that we can do it. And that we are strong. Even when it doesn't feel like it. Next question. What topic would you totally be clueless about if it came up in the conversation? So anytime people bring up the Cowboys, I'll be like, yeah, you know, I kind of stopped watching back whenever it was like Troy Aikman, and even back then I didn't really watch, but I had posters and shit. So sports, I mean, I know the basics, but I ask questions. So I don't know much about soccer, but I know that there's Cristiano Ronaldo and someone named Messi, and people don't either like one or the other for some reason. I'm talking about from kids to adults. And I'm just like, wrestling. There's a lot of topics that I'd be clueless about. Luckily, some things I have learned just because of experience and trial and error, and so you learn some things. Like, I'm not a car guy, but I know some things. I'm not a politics guy, but I know some things. Next question. Do you have a piggy bank? None of your business. Next question. What type of people scare you? Oh, I've never really... I guess people who might not be in the right mind. Like maybe a crackhead or somebody high on crack. But even then, I feel like I'm protected, but I wouldn't put myself in a crazy situation. But who knows? But I think that's the scariest type of person is you know, like how they showed on in Florida years ago when somebody took bath salts and they started eating somebody's face. Like, that's just fucking scary. Like when somebody's not there or possessed. Hopefully, I never come across that shit. What is your favorite spa service? Massage. I only had one professional. I don't even. It probably wasn't professional because it was in Mexico. No offense, in Mexico, but it was on the beach. I don't think it was. But it was. It might have been. It might have been a profession. I mean, if you're doing something for money, you're a professional. So my bad. I take that shit back. It was great. How do you handle two-faced people? Immediately, I thought about. What's the villain in Harry Potter? That had the two. His face was on the back of the professor's face. Voldemort. Yo, you just handle it like you handle anybody else, man. Like, well, no. If somebody's two-faced, you gotta be careful what you say, how you act around them. You know, watch your P's and Q's, cause two-faced means that they don't got your back. But I just try to keep it real 24/7. That way, ain't no thing, you know? Like, what they gonna say? Don't give them nothing to say. I guess. I don't know. But the haters are always gonna hate. I was just thinking about that. Like, the more comments, the more views, more often, even though there's more, you know, love than hate, sometimes somebody's gonna hate, and that's cool. But I guess it's never been personal. I think when it starts to get personal, it probably hurt my feelings. But it's good. It's a progress. So I gotta learn. It's good that it's not just immediately, because I'm probably not ready for 1,000 people to hate me and 100,000 to like me. So it's good to start off small. Baby steps are crucial. Do you have a specific personality trait or something specific that makes you popular? Yeah, I don't know what it is though. My laid backness probably is what it is. Being laid back. I think that helps with my personal personality and what makes me likable. And to some. If you could be reincarnated as an animal, what animal would you choose? Holy shit. Well, I was just thinking that my spirit animal is probably a cat. I saw a cat in my dream. That's the dream that we're gonna look up today. Probably a hawk or an eagle. An eagle would be dope. Do you think the glass ceiling still exists or has it been broken? I'd probably be lying if I said it's been completely broken. And though it is broken in some parts, you know, broken glass is dangerous. Once you broke something, you can't put it back. But yeah, definitely it still exists. What do you want to do when you retire? Chill. Paint, maybe. Travel, if it's not too hard on me. Hopefully I'm married. Hopefully I got grandkids. Hopefully I got, you know, spend time with families. That's what I want to do. And friends. Do you watch any nature programs? Not really. Sometimes when I kick it with my sister, somebody's over here, I'll put on like the Animal Planet or whatever, Planet Earth. It's on Netflix. That's usually what we watch. We're watching this shit, you know what, at the iPod Squad place. I guess it could be a pod, because an apartment's like a pod. And we watched some crazy shit where this bear ate a baby seal. It's heavy. What is the largest amount of money you spent in one spree? Ooh, I don't want to talk about that. I mean, I don't. Probably a couple hundred. Something like that. Would you ever pick up a hitchhiker? Probably not. Probably not. But, never say never. What if the hitchhiker's like somebody famous? Like Eva Mendes, or what's more current? I can't think of a current fucking celebrity. Jennifer Lawrence. I probably wouldn't pick her. Depends on who it was. A hitchhiker, right? And if they really, you can tell in somebody's eyes if they really need help. If they're really running from somebody, or they're in danger. If it's just something like cool, laid back, with like, oh, they're planning something maybe. You know, they're just like. But if they're like, somebody. Oh, even then, that could be a trap. I don't know. That's a hard question. We'll be right back. I'm going to check the audio, too. And we have returned to the Friday podcast with your host, Chris Chaos, in the building. So finishing off angel number series with 6 in the middle. 969. Sunsigns.org says 969 says that letting go of the things that leave you open to the idea of going after a new. To let go of the things that leave you unopen to the idea of going after a new dream. Thus, you can experience a good life and get all of the positive things that you deserve. Angel number 969 meaning says that these breaks enabled you to find a future better for yourself. So stay positive about them as much as you can. That was taken very out of context. I'm not sure the context of that one. Angelnumber.org says that 969 is a number centered on love, family, community. There will be a desire to turn to the family and understand its importance to you. It is a favorable number for taking on new responsibilities and a great number for thinking about long-term love relationships and professional success. The Secret of the Tarot.com says that 969 is a powerful sign of endings and closures. You need to go through this phase of your life to fully understand your life purpose. Through this angelic sign, the divine realm will send you the prompts you need to make wise life choices. Also, your angels are asking you to allow them to take care of your fears and concerns. TrustedPsychicMediums.com says that 969 preaches the ultimate secret to happiness, coping healthily, and fulfillment. It advises you to put more stock in real connections than attachments to material things. While it may look beneficial, material gains in chasing fortune and fame can soon put you into a spiral downwards. MindYourBodySoul.com says that it is a message that an important cycle or phase of your life has come to an end. This is happening because of karmic reasons, and you will find your answers shortly. These changes and beginnings will lead you closer to your divine life path and soul mission. The Numerologist.com says that 969 is a powerful number that carries a deep spiritual meaning. This number is a reminder that we are all connected to the divine source of love and light. We are all connected in the world to the world around us. The 969 angel number reminds us to open our hearts and minds to receive the love and wisdom of the universe. Very nice, very nice. Sounds beautiful. All right. So the other day, I think I was recording and I described it. I saw a gray and yellow and white little bird. And I looked it up, and it's called a warbler. This particular one's called a yellow-rumped warbler. It's a type of bird, warblers, apparently. So I was like, well, what's the meaning of symbolism or of seeing a warbler? So, seeing a warbler, according to AuntieFlo.com, says people who have this as their totem are very vocal, carefree, talented, and sociable. When this creature makes its appearance to you, it simply wants to tell us to express our ideas and be more vocal about our feelings. Don't be ashamed that people will laugh at you. Mesmerize them with your personality and be the source of envy of everyone. If that's what you want. It's not what you should desire, but it will happen eventually if you don't care. AuntieFlo.com says that this trait is known to represent a certain shyness. People that are drawn to the warbler are often like this as well. While they like attention, they will shy away from direct praise. Warblers show up as a spirit guide when you have a song that you want to share. You seek confidence to be yourself. Spirit-animals.com says, like the nightingale, the warbler is a symbol of music and positivity. Therefore, when this creature visits you, it asks you to sing for joy, even during your darkest moments. Warbler totem, spirit animal. People with the warbler totem are highly social. They have lots of friends and are talkative. More than anything, they love to be heard. Spirit Animals and Symbolism.com says the warbler power animal is a symbol of happiness and joy. Native Americans believe that the warbler brings good fortune to those who encounter it. The warbler is also considered a messenger of peace. In the animal kingdom, the warbler power animal is a small songbird known for its beautiful singing voice. Also from Spirit Animals and Symbolism.com says, in many cultures, the yellow warbler is seen as a symbol of joy and happiness. Whoa, it just said the same thing. But this is different. This is because these birds are always seen with a smile, and they seem to radiate happiness. The yellow warbler spiritual meaning also represents hope, as these birds are often seen as a sign of spring and new beginnings. Birdwatchingusa.org says yellow warblers signify the wholeness of self. Their bright yellow color represents joy and happiness. Yellow warblers are mischievous and sneak off like thieves to steal food from others. Thus, they represent the good and the bad of the world. They teach us one of the most important lessons of life. Embrace all of you and become whole. All right, let's see what's next. So the other day I had a dream that there was like cats in my backyard, which obviously there are, but there was an extra cat, and it was black, but it was purple. Like when it was really dark purple, but it looked black until it moved, and you could see, oh, it's purple. I was like, whoa. And then I was telling other people were here at the house, but I was telling my sister, and I was struggling to show her because she kept looking this way. I was like, no, this way. She was looking, I was like, no, this way. And finally she was like, oh, purple cat. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, what does that mean? In the dream, I said, what does that mean? And it was just cool. We were just staring at it in the dream. So, of course, I had to look it up. Dreamsopedia.com says to dream about a purple cat is an indication for glitz, glamour, and fame. You will be criticized for your decision, possibly. You may feel restricted in some way. Your dream is your mood for love and pursuit of pleasure and relaxation. Possibly you are extremely in tune with your emotions. Purple cat is a symbol for stamina and agility. And you may need to start fresh or something. Dreamaboutmeaning.com says that Purple Cat Dream expresses your drive, determination, and ambition. You have the mindset of being above the law. You are under tremendous stress and feel drained. This stands for spiritual renewal and healing. You are laying the groundwork and ready for growth. If you dreamt about Purple Cat, today's forecast is excellent for you. AuntieFlo.com. Back to Auntie Flo, because we talked about, they cover a lot of stuff. So this one's just cat dream. The cat symbol can be a sign of expressing love and satisfaction to others according to dream psychology. The cat dream is urging you to free your mind. Try to see what is holding you back. Cats are very self-sufficient, so your dream may be connected to independence, womanly instincts, originality, and supremacy. Dream-of.com says the color purple in the dream represents neutrality or powerlessness, something that is uncaring, unbiased, or totally powerless. Positively, purple can symbolize having no bias or situations that are open. This will usually be represented by lighter shades of purple. Angelicalbalance.com says the color purple in dreams speaks about embracing peace of mind. It has similar energy to blue. Whenever you dream of the color purple, it spiritually encourages you to be peaceful in your mind. Irrespective of what you are going through at the moment, you have the divine ability to keep your mind calm. Make use of this inner power. And last but not least, Journey into Dreams says that purple is the color of intuition and spiritual development. It often symbolizes love, truth, faith, wisdom, and devotion. Dreaming about the color purple often shows how we currently feel in our spiritual development. Connecting with spirit can help us develop our intuition and creativity while increasing our sense of peace. Very interesting. Something to think about, my friends. I'm going to take another break and then we'll come back with anxiety news, movie, and a badass woman of history. Anxiety news with your host, Chris Chaos. Sorry, excuse me. Pardon me. So, this article about anxiety in the news is from The Independent, which is obviously dependent on us reading it. So here we go. 8 signs that your child might have anxiety. Keyword might. Everything I say, take with a grain of salt. Know what I'm saying? And this is written by Lisa Salmon. What a name. Salmon. This was published Monday, February 6th, 5:04 a.m. So the cost of living crisis is worrying most adults. But what about children who are having to deal with less money, anxious parents, exams, plus all the pressures of social media and modern life? There's no doubt our kids are feeling the pressure, with NHS data suggesting nearly 300,000 young people in Britain have an anxiety disorder. This is thought to affect up to 19% of all children and adolescents in the United Kingdom, and up to 5% of children younger than 12. We know anxiety is the most common psychological condition among children and young people, says Dave Smithson, Operations Director at Anxiety UK. You can check them out at anxietyuk.org.uk. Whoa, did the US invent the internet? And that's why we have .com and everybody else has to put like .com.ca for Canada. Interesting. That rocks. However, the signs of anxiety are not always obvious for parents to spot. Children's Mental Health Week, which is this week, runs from February 6th to the 12th. Oh, that's in Britain though. Children's Mental Health Week.org.uk is an opportunity to highlight this. Deirdre Kehoe, co-CEO and Director of Training and Services at children's mental health charity Young Minds, and in parentheses, youngminds.org.uk, says it's normal for children and young people to experience worry, stress, or anxiety at certain points in their lives, such as at exam time. If they have difficult relationships with friends and family, money worries, or are concerned about events in the news. Oh, I didn't read that correctly. But she points out more and more young people are needing support for their mental health, and anxiety is one of the most common mental health conditions. We know from speaking to young people and from our own research that the past has been one of the most difficult for you. That the past year has been one of the most difficult for young people, emerging from the pandemic to more limited prospects for their futures, coupled with an increase in academic pressure to catch up on lost learning and the impact of the cost of living crisis. Kehoe says anxiety can become a problem when a young person isn't in a stressful situation, but feels more worried or panicky than usual. As a parent, it can be difficult to know whether your child is going through a hard time, and the signs may not always be obvious, she adds. But if you think they might be struggling, there are some things you can look out for. So some of these signs, these hard to spot signs of anxiety in children and young people may include sleep problems, having difficulty nodding off, having bad dreams, and maybe wet in the bed are signs of potential anxiety that could mistaken for another ailment. Yeah, I used to wet the bed as a kid. Number 2, nervousness. If your child seems less able to cope and more nervous than usual, it may be caused by underlying anxiety, warns Kehoe. Symptoms, but they weren't knowing. There was no fucking articles like this 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 4 years ago. Symptoms will look different for everyone, but things your child might be experiencing include feeling nervous, overwhelmed, or full of dread, she says. 3, physical problems. Minor ailments such as tummy trouble or feeling faint may be an indication that there's an underlying issue. Kehoe says physical symptoms, including feeling faint or having stomach cramps or diarrhea, they spell it differently in the UK, or it's a diarrhea, can be a sign of anxiety. Smithson adds, tummy upsets and headaches may be a common ailment, but they're also a common side effect of anxiety in children and young people, especially if they occur frequently and are used in an excuse to avoid school. 4, becoming more clingy. Smithson says another sign to watch for is your child becoming tearful or not wanting to let you go. This is often a sign of separation anxiety, which NAS data suggests is the most common form of anxiety in children under 12. 5, change in eating habits. Young Minds says problems with food can begin as a coping strategy when young people are anxious, and they may lose their appetite or perhaps start comfort eating when they're not hungry. If you notice there's been a change in eating habits, it might be a sign that they need some help, advises Kehoe. Number 6, losing their temper. Teenagers are renowned for flying off the handle, but their outbursts may not just be the result of raging hormones, warns Smithson. Those teenage outbursts of anger or frustration aren't just signs of them growing up, but could be a result of their underlying anxious thoughts and feelings, he explains. 7, lack of concentration. If you notice your child is struggling to focus on a given task, it could mean they're stressing about something. This could be another sign of anxiety in children and young people, says Kehoe. Number 8, last but not least, reduced confidence. If you notice your child is becoming withdrawn, or if they seem to lack confidence or get upset, it might be an indicator that they need some help, warns Kehoe. Smithson points out that a lack of confidence or self-esteem may be an anxiety symptom in older or adolescent children. How to help. Kehoe says discussing anxiety with children can be hard and they might initially struggle to talk about it. If they do open up, she advises, listen in a non-judgmental way about how they're feeling. Remind them it's okay to feel scared or worried and try to reassure them in an age-appropriate manner. Remember, you don't need to know all the answers, but talking things through can help them feel calmer. She suggests parents research ways to help children feel calmer, including mindfulness, meditation, and grounding techniques. She adds, if you think your child needs professional support, speak to their GP and school. Guidance counselor, I'm assuming. Maybe they call it something else in the UK. And consider whether counseling or therapy might help. Medication can also manage the symptoms of anxiety, and your GP might suggest this alongside talking therapy. Yeah, I suggest try everything you can before trying to bust out with the medication. But, you know, some of us need it. Okay, I'm going to take another break and be right back. I don't know what I just did there. Be right back. Shit. I just said some cool shit, whatever. And I wasn't recording. Alright, so this movie I saw back in the day when it first came out in theaters. Great movie. And then I watched it again recently. Zack and Miri Make a Porto. It's a 2008 American sex comedy film written, directed, and edited by Kevin Smith. And I was saying when I recorded earlier, but you guys didn't hear it, I was just saying to myself and the CIA or whoever's listening, that I didn't know anything about Kevin Smith back then. I hadn't seen Clerks yet. So I thought this was a Seth Rogen film. Not a Kevin Smith film. So I hadn't seen like Chasing Amy or Mallrats or Clerks or any of the I didn't know anything about that stuff. But now going into it, I saw it in 08 originally. Now in 2023, which I should be able to do the math. 8, 9, 10. So that's 15 years ago. It's been 15 years. I've watched movies. I've learned about Kevin Smith. I watched interviews with Kevin Smith. I got real fascinated with him for a while. Like I was really interested in his work. And it stars Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks. It was released on October 31st, 2008. The film follows the lives of friends Zack and Miri who are facing financial troubles and decide to make an adult film to solve their problems. And I'm going to say this again. What's interesting is I just watched Tommy and Pam, or Pam and Tommy, and Seth Rogen's in there and he's trying to make money back because Tommy screwed him over and he's trying to sell a porno. Well, it wasn't. It was a home video. He felt bad about it. I'm going to have to do a serious review about that one eventually. The film was produced by Scott Mosier and was released by the Weinstein Company. Boo, Weinstein. And it turns out, we'll see why, they live up to their boo reputation. It received mixed reviews from critics and was a box office failure, unfortunately. Seth Rogen played Zac Brown, Elizabeth Banks as Miriam, aka Miri Linky. Craig Robinson was Delaney, Jason Mewes as Lester, Tracy Lords as Bubbles, Jeff Anderson as Deacon Anderson, Katie Morgan as Stacy, Ricky Mabe as Barry, Justin Long was very funny in it as Brandon St. Randy, Jim Norton as an auditioner. It was one little part, but I saw it. It was cool. Development. The genesis of Zack and Miri has been one in Kevin Smith's mind since the 1990s. 2 porn-centered projects were in development. One was a film called Name. It was intended to be a follow-up, but not a sequel to Chasing Amy that would have starred the trio from that movie. Jason Lee, Ben Affleck, and Joey Lauren Adams, and said to be in the View Askewniverse. And I'm assuming that's the universe of his movies. But the project was not made and was replaced with Dogma. The second attempt was in 1997 as a failed 22-episode series titled Hiatus. The series would have starred Lee again and was about a man returning home after being away in California and leading a double life as a porn star. When he pitched the series to TV networks, they all rejected the idea, believing that the kind of material handed to them could never happen on television. However, he kept the idea in mind and wrote a script following Clerks 2 that would be porn-bent. Pre-production. According to Entertainment Weekly, the Weinstein Company greenlit the project based solely on the title. Kevin Smith originally wrote the film to be set in St. Cloud, Minnesota, where he had previously shot Mallrats, and where he has stated a desire to shoot again. However, for budgetary reasons, Smith opted to shoot in Pittsburgh and rewrote the script to take place in the suburb of Monroeville. The female-led role was written for Rosario Dawson, but she was unable to accept the part as she was signed on the film Eagle Eye, whose shooting schedule would have conflicted with Smith's. Smith wrote the role of Zack with Seth Rogen in mind based on his performance in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Shooting concluded on March 12, 2008. So Seth Rogen wasn't even making movies then. Yeah, I mean, he was in movies. There are numerous references to Pittsburgh and the film setting and the neighborhood. He's on a podcast, and I thought it might be interesting to listen to what he got to say, Seth Rogen, because he's also making the new Ninja Turtles movie, so hopefully he's got his mind right. But it's for the kids, it's not for us, or whatever. Thought the film set in the neighborhood of Monroeville in Pittsburgh, including a drunken Steelers fan, a Penguins Stanley Cup flag, Mary sleeping in a Penguins jersey, and the cast drinking Iron Titty beer throughout the film. A scene is set outside Mellon Arena during a hockey game. The scene of the goalie body checking the defender was filmed at the Roast Raver Ice Garden. Blah, blah, blah. Another scene in the film was shot at the Monroeville Mall and contains a cameo appearance by Tom Savini. The mall was the setting of Dawn of the Dead, which Savini was an effects artist. That's like the only zombie movie I've seen because I had it on DVD. And it was fucking scary. It was pretty cool. But the fucking zombies were running fast and shit. Like, what? They're not supposed to run. It's not what zombies do. Oh, and then the hockey team that Zach plays for in the show, the one that he's like the director for the porno, it's called the Monroeville Zombies, which is a reference to the Romero film. One of the main cast members also has Pittsburgh area roots. Porn star icon Tracy Lords, who played Bubbles in the film, is a native of Steubenville, Ohio, located about a half-hour drive west of Pittsburgh. So while Metro Golden Mayer, I think that's the one with the, I don't know what the MGM. Oh, it's MGM. So I think it's the Lion. Was originally set, then the Weinstein Company solely distributed the film after a deal between the two companies fell through. With the announcement came the removal of the MGM logo from the advertising for the film, which is the first Weinstein film to be released after the deal was abruptly ended before the scheduled January 2009 date. Rating. Because you know they had to change it up for that. So, of course, initially, the Motion Picture Association of America gave the film an NC-17. He submitted 2 additional cuts of the film with certain footage removed and was told the movie was getting much closer to an R rating, but that he should remove a small 14-frame shot first. Smith felt that the scene should stay in, so he appealed the rating and the film was screened by the MPAA. Seth Rogen commented, "It's a really filthy movie. I hear they are having some problems getting an R rating from an NC-17 rating, which is never good. He continued complaining that they fight against sex stuff. Isn't that weird? It's really crazy to me that Hostel is fine with people gouging their eyes out and shit like that, but you can't show two people having sex. That's too much. On August 5th, the rating was successfully appealed to an R with no further cuts. It attained the rating for strong, crude sexual content, including dialogue, graphic nudity, and pervasive language. On October 10th of 2008, the British Board of Film Classification issued an 18th certificate for the film, saying blah, blah, blah. Marketing's posters were blocked. They couldn't be shown. A lot of places just put Zach and Miri. They had that one poster that said that Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks are making the movie. So crazy we can't even tell you the title. They had a Red Band trailer. Let's see. They had a couple posters that they couldn't use. Like one, it looked like they were giving head to each other. So there was complaints about the ads at baseball stadiums and city bus stops. Weinstein Company marketing head Gary Faber stated that the ad was accepted in most of the outlets that were offered it, but that the studio would consider variations of the title for outlets that rejected it, including one version, that Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks made a movie so outrageous that we can't even tell you the title. On November 10th of 2008, the Weinstein Company announced that it would be relaunching the U.S. ad campaign for the film. But why is this on 2000? It's got to be wrong if the movie came out in 2008. Maybe it came out in 2009. So something's wrong about the date. Hopefully I look it up and then put it right there if I remember. So then it probably came out in 2009, which makes more sense. More talk about the poster. So the film opened up number 2, which is not bad. It doesn't seem like, behind High School Musical 3 senior year with 10.7 million from 2,735 theaters, an average of 3,906 per theater. The bankable Rogen experienced his worst box office opening ever. In an interview with Caitlin McGlynn of the Huffington Post, Kevin Smith observed, "I was depressed, man. I wanted that movie to do so much better. I'm sitting here thinking, that's it. I'm gone. I'm out. The movie didn't do well, and I killed Seth Rogen's career. This dude was on a roll until he got in with the likes of me. I'm a career killer. Judd Apatow's going to be pissed. The whole internet's going to be pissed because they all like Seth. And the only reason they like me anymore is because I was involved with Seth. And now I fucking ruined that. It was like high school. I was like, I'm a dead man. I'll be the laughing stock." During his 13 weeks in release, it grossed 42.8. And that was a disappointment. Apparently after that, Kevin Smith's relationship with producer Harvey Weinstein, fuck Harvey Weinstein, soured. An associate says Smith bitterly blamed Harvey Weinstein for failing to spend enough to market the film. Although Weinstein said he spent $30 million on the marketing, Smith didn't believe he had followed through. Either way, the relationship between the two frayed. Reviews were iffy, 65%, 56 out of 100, 6.2 out of 10 from all those major ones. What else I got? This guy's according to Scott, let's see, from who? Scott Smith, A.O. Scott, has been tinkering with the dirty mind / soft heart combination for quite some time, forming a link of sorts between the humanist sexual anarchy of John Waters and the smutty Victorianism of Judd Apatow.
According to Scott, in spite of an avalanche of verbal filth and a smaller quantum of the visual variety, Zack and Miri is not very shocking at all. He and his characters revel in dialogue that riffs on body parts and bodily fluids, but Mr. Smith's stories are bathed, metaphorically, in syrup and schmaltz. So Zack and Miri make a porno in spite of its sometimes tiresome, sometimes amusing lewdness, follows a gee-whiz romantic comedy formula that would not be out of place on the Disney Channel. Two best friends who have always been in love with each other discover that they have always been in love with each other. Granted, this revelation occurs while they are having sex in front of a camera, but it is so sweet and predictable that these potentially tawdry circumstances hardly matter. Cool. Let's see. Ebert gave it 3 out of 4. According to Kevin Smith, that was supposed to be the one that punched us through to the next level. Everyone thought it would do 60 to 70 million, and it wound up doing Kevin Smith business. I was like, I'm done. If I were to write at that point in my life, it would be about the poor fat kid whose movie didn't make enough money. For 2 months after the film's release, Smith did not work. He even stayed away from the internet. He was convinced the film would grasp a piece of the raunchy comedy box office success that had flowed freely to Judd Apatow the previous year for Knocked Up. When it did not, Smith criticized Weinstein for not marketing enough. Yeah, I already said that. More than 2 years after the film was released, Smith said Zack and Miri is literally me adulterating my own story. The story of how I made Clerks with porn. Justin Long appears as a lawyer in Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Smith confirmed that Long was reprising his role as Brandon, and that the move was meant to retcon the earlier film into the View-esque universe. Long's character was not named because Smith does not own the rights to Zack and Miri. What? A song by the band live titled Hold Me Up, which Smith has been trying to use for over 13 years, appears in an emotional scene with Zack and Miri. It's an old song that he first heard in '95 when they were putting together the Mallrats soundtrack. It was actually in the film for the first test screening, but Live decided they wanted to hold on to it as a potential single off their next album, which would follow Throwing Copper. When I was editing Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the song still hadn't surfaced or been released, so I put in a request again. Again, I was denied. Third time apparently was the charm. Needed a song for that sequence in Zack and Miri, and remembered the live track. This time the band signed off on using the track. Took 13 years, but worth the wait. Man, I feel bad for him putting all his love and heart into this movie, and I think it was really good. So apparently it's at the time of connection to the View-esque universe. At the time of its release, Kevin Smith claimed the film did not take place in his View-esque universe, and consciously tried avoiding any connections. View-esque universe staples Jay and Silent Bob make no appearance, and Smith went so far as to not feature the Nail cigarette brand that was a recurring brand in the films. Smith later changed his mind by featuring Justin Long in an uncredited cameo appearance as Brandon St. Randy in Jay and Silent Bob reboot as Jay and Silent Bob and Saban Films lawyer, though the characters never named due to being owned by the Weinstein Company. Smith confirmed this appearance as him retroactively adding Zack and Miri make a porno to the View-esque universe. That's pretty tight. Pretty tight, man. I mean, I liked it. It was good. It was a feel-good movie, and it was funny and crazy. What time is it? Man, I gotta do this and wrap this up. Alright, let's do it. Bum ba da bum. Badass woman in her street. Gladys Mae West, born October 27th, 1930. is an American mathematician known for her contributions to the mathematical modeling of the shape of the Earth and her work on the development of the satellite geodesy models that were eventually incorporated into the Global Positioning System, or GPS. West was inducted into the United States Air Force Hall of Fame in 2018. She was awarded the Webby Lifetime Achievement Award at the 25th Annual Webby Awards for the development of the satellite geodesy models. She was born in Sutherland, Virginia, in a rural county south of Richmond. Her family they were a farming family in a community of sharecroppers. She spent much of her childhood working on her family's small farm. Her mother worked at a tobacco factory. Her father was a farmer who also worked for the railroad. West realized early on that she did not want to work in the tobacco fields or factories like the rest of her family, and decided that education would be her way out. When West was on her way to graduate high school, the only obstacle keeping her from higher education was financial. Her parents tried to save, but supporting an entire family on a sharecropper's wage did not leave much left for West's education. West began babysitting to help save, but ultimately her superior academic performance resulted in her securing 2 scholarships. At West's high school, the top 2 students of each graduating class received full scholarships to Virginia State College, now formerly University, a historically black public university. I don't understand the name change. West graduated as valedictorian in 1948 and received the much-needed scholarship. She was initially unsure what college major to pursue at VSU, as she had excelled in all her subjects in high school. She was encouraged to major in science or mathematics because of their difficulty, and West ultimately chose to study mathematics, a subject mostly studied at her college by men. She also became a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. She graduated in 1952 with a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. After graduating, she taught math and science for 2 years in Waverly, Virginia. West then returned to VSU to complete her Master of Mathematics degree, graduating in 1955. Afterwards, she briefly took under another teaching position in Martinsville, Virginia. Damn. In 1956, she was hired to work at the Naval Proving Ground in Dahlgren, Virginia, now called the Naval Surface Warfare Center, where she was the second black woman ever hired and one of only 4 black employees. West was a programmer in the Naval Surface Warfare Center Dahlgren Division for large-scale computers and a project manager for data processing systems used in the analysis of satellite data. Concurrently, West earned a second master's degree in public administration from the University of Oklahoma. In the early 1960s, she participated in an award-winning astronomical study that proved the regularity of Pluto's motion relative to Neptune. Subsequently, West began to analyze data from satellites, putting together models of the Earth's shape. She became project manager for the CSAT radar altimetry project, the first satellite that could remotely sense oceans. She consistently put in extra hours, cutting her team's processing time in half. She was recommended for a commendation in 1979. From the mid-1970s to the 1980s, she programmed an IBM 7030 stretch computer to deliver increasingly precise calculations to model the shape of the Earth, an ellipsoid with additional undulations, known as the geoid. Generating an extremely accurate geopotential model required her to employ complex algorithms to account for variations in gravitational, tidal, and other forces that distort Earth's shape. In her autobiography, West spoke of some of the complex problems she solved, which had proven too difficult for other members of the team. West's model ultimately became the basis for the Global Positioning System. In 1986, West published data processing system specifications for the GeoSat satellite radar altimeter, a 51-page technical report from the Naval Surface Weapons Center. The guide was published to explain how to increase the accuracy of the estimation of geoid heights and vertical deflection, important components of satellite geodesy. This was achieved by processing the data created from the radial altimeter on the GeoSat satellite, which went into orbit on March 12, 1984. She worked at Dow Green for 42 years, retiring in 98. After retiring, she completed a PhD in public administration from Virginia Tech. Her legacy. Her vital contributions to GPS technology were rediscovered when a member of West's sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, read a short biography Gladys had submitted for an alumni function. So nobody was trying to give her credit. She was inducted into the U.S. Air Force Hall of Fame in 2018, one of the highest honors bestowed by Air Force Space Command. The AFSPC press release at the time called her one of the so-called hidden figures, part of the team who did computing for the U.S. military in the era before electronic systems. A reference to the 2016 book by Margot Lee Shetterly, which was adapted into the film Hidden Figures. Captain Godfrey Weeks, commanding officer at the Naval Surface Warfare Dow Green Division, described the role played by West in the development of GPS. She rose through the ranks, worked on the satellite geodesy, and contributed to the accuracy of GPS and the measurement of satellite data. As Gladys West started her career as a mathematician at Dow Green in 1956, she likely had no idea that her work would impact the world for decades to come. West agreed, saying that she had no idea that at the time that her work would affect so many. When you're working every day, you're not thinking, what impact is this going to have on the world? You're thinking, I got to get this right. So, as an alumna of Virginia State University, Dr. Gladys West was nominated for one award for Female Alumna of the Year at the Historically Black Colleges and Universities Awards sponsored by HBCU Digest in 2018. She met her husband, Ira West, at the Naval Service at that place, where he also worked as a mathematician. They were two of only 4 black employees. At the time, they were married in 1957. They had 3 kids, 7 grandkids. The West family went to chapel on the Proving Ground every Sunday. She initially turned down the job before being hired by the base due to its location and the requirement to interview. She didn't have a car and couldn't find Dow Green on a map, along with her fear that they would reject her through the interview because of her race. She decided she'd wait to hear back from other applications. Much time went by, no other applications were accepted elsewhere. Luckily, Dow Green reached out to her again, offering her the job without the need to interview. The job was offering double than her current teaching position, and no other job opportunities were coming in. Being hired solely on her qualifications with a salary that would eventually help her support her family was a rare find for a black woman at the time. That's probably a rare find for any woman, but definitely a black woman. I mean, and black dudes, but definitely a black woman. At this time, the Supreme Court had made a landmark decision on Brown versus Board of Education that ruled the American state laws establishing racial segregation in public schools were unconstitutional. However, Virginia was still segregated since the Supreme Court had not specified which states were required to reestablish it according to the new ruling. This contributed to West's nervousness about taking the job in a rural part of a southern state. Different groups like the Ku Klux Klan were still at large, and the prospect of moving to a rural neighborhood in a southern state was daunting for an unmarried black woman. However, West wouldn't let the ignorance of others derail her on the path she felt God had destined her to go on. The civil rights movement was in full swing during her time at the base. Though she supported the movement, she could not participate in protests because she was a government employee. In Boomtown, where married people lived on base, she was part of a club of black women who discussed civil rights topics. During her career, she encountered many hardships because of racism against African Americans, primary of which was the lack of recognition she received while working. while her white coworkers received praise and added privilege. Within her biography, her disappointment in not being granted the projects that included travel and exposure is clear. She definitely deserved them. In 2018, West completed a PhD via a distance learning program with the School of Public and International Affairs at Virginia Tech. She continues to prefer using a paper map over a GNSS-based navigation system, saying she still trusts her brain above all. She stated, "I'm a doer, hands-on kind of person. If I can see the road and see where it turns and where it went, I am more sure." Bro, that's pretty tight. Yeah. I haven't read these yet. They just came in the mail. Power Rangers Ninja Turtles Part 2, number 2. And Last Ronin Lost Years. I'm going to have to go over it the next time. My throat's tired. My body's tired, so I'm not going to do it. Let me try to do a freestyle real quick. Hold on. Yeah. Man, I almost don't even want to talk because my throat kind of hurts when I talk. Wait, no. Okay, I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna fucking come back and do it. Excuse me. Steady elevating, and I'm never trying to hate them. I'm trying to spread love and peace like a dove. You won't catch me in the club unless I'm getting sandwiches. Man, what it do? Haters can't banish this. My rhymes is like riddles. And my flow is like a motherfucking fiddle. I got the people following. Flows, man, I'm gonna have to start borrowing because I'm running out. Hold up, let me pull some out of my brain before I go insane. Yo, they used to call me Kane because I used to snort cane. But now I don't do that. I might just roll up a fat blunt or a joint. Cause man, what's the point? Trying to live sober, trying to be an ogre. Cause one day it's all over. But I wish I could go back and try again. Man, hold up. I fucked up. Cause I felt bad about saying the sober part. And so I tried to correct it by saying, but I tried it, whatever. That's fine. See you on the next one. I love y'all, man. Peace.